So today I would like to talk about the way European leaders respond to Euroscepticism, because most of them genuinely seem surprised that the people they rule over do not share their dream of an ever closer union. The state Europe is in right now reminds me sometimes of the 40th anniversary of East Germany. Here you had all these dictators coming together to celebrate the magnificent People's Republic of Germany, while at the same time those people were demonstrating against the regime a couple blocks down the road. Of course, today's politicians are far more benevolent and peaceful and democratic than those dictators in East Europe. But what they do have in common, I think, is the fact that they are totally oblivious about the sentiments that go around in Europe right at this moment.
Amongst the people of Europe, the voters, there's little appetite for ever closer union, for a Europe with Brussels in the driving seat, and this for a number of different reasons. Take the EU's Nordic nations, for example, Finland, Denmark and Sweden. They have a strong sense of national identity and they don't want it diluted by Brussels. These countries cling tightly to national sovereignty. The attitude there being, we didn't throw off the yoke of communism to now have Brussels tell us what to do. German voters worry that ever closer union means them being ever more liable to bail out weaker EU economies. And France, well, it's a bit compliqué. French voters have a very strong Eurosceptic streak, whereas the traditional political class is very pro-EU. As for Southern Europe, well, there's a lot of Euroscepticism here, with euro being the key word. In Spain, Italy and Greece, many voters blame the rules of the single currency and German austerity for their economic woes. Where are the fans, those in favour of federalism? Well, traditionally, they're thought to nestle here: Benelux, Belgium, Luxembourg and the Netherlands. But no. Voters in the Netherlands have grown increasingly Eurosceptic over the last decade or so. They felt their political leaders were dragging them too fast in the direction of federalist Europe, and they've slammed on the brakes.
And even after Brexit, you saw that some politicians in Brussels saw the leaving of the UK as a good starting point to centralize even more power, saying things like, well, those Brits were always a bit Eurosceptic and now we really can make the move forward. But the reality is, of course, that the only reason why Brexit exists is because Cameron was stupid enough to let the British people decide about their own future. I would be really surprised if even half the European Union members would stay if similar referenda would be held in those countries right now. So how did this happen? How is it possible that there is such a division between the political elite and the population? I think that one of the most overlooked factors in this is the fact that how much the European Union benefits politicians personally. Take for example somebody like Jean Claude Juncker. Without the EU, this guy would have reached the highlight of his career in 1995. That's the year he became Prime Minister of Luxembourg. Without the EU, history would have remembered him as a very effective Prime Minister of a very rich, but at the same time very unknown country in Western Europe. In some way you can compare the European Union with the Olympics. Most politicians like Juncker are like curling players. Nobody really cares about their sport, but that whole thing changes when there is Olympic gold involved. Then all of a sudden we are all experts about curling and we all are very interested in the results.
Hello darkness, my old friend.
Another thing that is important to remember is that these European politicians live the European dream. They not only get to travel the continent for their job, but they usually also make enough money to buy a second house in South France. And also they almost never have to deal with a language barrier, because they have a small army of translators that work for them. Well, compare that with somebody who lives in the back part of town and who sees how his neighborhood is slowly changing in little Poland. People he cannot understand, and it's not hard to understand that freedom of movement can mean different things to different people. So my advice is to the European establishment to take a step back, to show more compassion with the have-nots, to understand that for them home is not only home, but it's also their whole future, and it's also their holiday destination. So of course these people will be a little bit more protective about the place they live in, and they will be wary about this centralization of power in a far away place they will never visit. And that's about it.